I thought it'd be fun to do a what's in my student flight bag video. I've seen quite a few of these videos online, and I kept watching them when I was starting out, because I had no idea what I really needed and what I didn't, and everybody had their own unique setup. I'm about 50 hours through my training now. I'm doing my cross countries right now, so I thought it's a good idea, kind of like show you guys. I've obviously not a ton of experience, but enough experience, I guess, to figure out which things I need, what I like and what I don't like, and hopefully it helps you in making your decision, especially with some of the items that I really struggled with figuring out what to get. I got this amazing North Face bag. Basically, it was a perfect size for me. I used to have a big backpack. It didn't really fit in the plane so well. It was always like getting stuck when I was pulling it in and out. This is really cool. It stands on the ramp next to the plane as I'm doing pre-flight and stuff, which is really awesome. It's waterproof, I guess, up to a point. I really like the look of it. Fits everything I need. Kind of tight, but it does the job. Yeah, so first thing, we have like this outside pocket, and I don't know what this was originally designed for. Obviously this is not a flight bag, but it kind of just works out really well. So it's got this little outside pocket over here that you can unzip, and this is, I've got the fuel stick. That's what you use to measure how much fuel's in the plane. Open the fuel caps and put it down, hold your finger up here, and you can tell how much fuel you have, roughly. That's a fuel stick. It obviously gets fuel on it, so it's cool to have it on the outside, right? Next up, another fuel tool. So kind of stick this on each wing and under the front of the plane to test the fuel. So sometimes you have like sediment in the tank that can like foul up the engine, or you have water in it. So if the plane's left overnight and you don't fill up the fuel to the top, you can get condensation, you can get water in the fuel tank, and that's not what you want. So you kind of like drain it to check that there's no water and that it's actually got the right fuel in there. Super useful. I'm not super happy with this one because this kind of plastic bit here bends a little bit, so I might replace this. I mean, it does the job, but if it breaks off, it's kind of really gonna suck. If you don't want to spill after testing your fuel, if you just don't want to spill it out onto the ramp, you have to like climb up and put it in, and you need both hands for that, so you can't like rest this anywhere. And I've seen, I'm gonna show a picture of it here, but I've seen like wider ones, which I guess you can rest on the front of the plane, as you climb up. So yeah, it's okay. It does the job. It's got a little screwdriver here. I'm not really sure what that's for, but it's there. And this is a weird one. So this is to test the stall horn. So you'll put it on the stall horn on the wing and kind of pull like that, and it's gonna make a little squeaking duck noise. So I guess you could just like put your mouth over it with a cloth and suck on it if you wanted to. But I mean, if you don't want to get bugs and stuff in your mouth, it's really cool. Yeah, I usually these are the first things I pull out, put them in my back pocket, so when I'm doing the pre-flight, I have them with me. Yeah, so that's all on the outside of the bag. Kind of zips up and is separate to everything else, so I'm not getting like fuel and stuff inside, right? So, next up, okay, on the outside, I have my GoPro. Obviously this, is a really important tool for me. Aside from just being like, a whole lot of fun to record your flights and, edit them and post them online on your channel, it's a really important learning tool for me, especially early on. I feel like I don't need it as much anymore, but early on in flight training, there's this weird thing that happens where your brain gets so overloaded that you cannot take any more information in. So the instructor will be telling you, what you're doing wrong, but you won't hear a word of it. It's just like, well, I get this at least, and I've heard other people get it. It's just like your ears, you cannot process any more information. So when you have this recording and you're recording the cockpit audio, which I'll show you, I've got a little cable that does that. You can just watch it later and you pick up the little things and they stick in your head much better because you can watch them over and over again. So kind of expensive to get a GoPro, but there's like cheaper alternatives, I guess. It doesn't have to be this. I just got it because it was on sale, but worth every penny. I also got this little max lens mod, which makes things a lot wider. So what that does is that allows you to see outside the plane and the instruments and everything else if you kind of just like hook it up on the side. I got this little mount. It's a suction cup that goes onto the glass, and it's really versatile because you can do it on the glass here, and get a shot of the whole panel. You can stick it up on the front, get a nicer view. Really cool. This is usually on the outside because it's like the first thing that I set up and I put in, was make sure the batteries are charged for this. And yeah, I've got this little case for it here, and that just keeps it safe. It's like 10 bucks on Amazon, 5 bucks, whatever. Cool. Now we go inside the bag. Got my knee board right here. And this has been a work in progress. I've had so many different knee boards, tried so many different things. You know, technically, all you really need to fly a plane is your headset and an iPad. So, you know, you've got everything that you need on your iPad. You know, you've got your maps, you've got your notes with an Apple Pencil. You can take notes, you can have your checklist, you can have everything on here, right? This has been the most important tool for me. I've got ForeFlight on here. That's what I use. I can go into detail like in another video about how like I have it set up, but I do have like a backup checklist on here as well, just in case there isn't one in the plane or I forget to bring one or whatever the case may be. Yeah, and other documents, like I have my POH on here of the plane, so I can, you know, reference stuff when I'm not in the plane. Sometimes those POHs in the plane, they're so old, it looks like old Egyptian scrolls because it's like from 19 whatever the heck. Like the paper is falling apart and you just don't really want to touch those. Yeah, you should be like referencing the real POH in the plane and not just the generic one. But for the most part, the generic one's just fine. I also have the full subscription of ForeFlight. Another expensive thing, but you know, they have, you know, 3D views of the airports and stuff like that. So if you're flying somewhere unfamiliar, you can really familiarize yourself with it. You know, it shows you like the lights at night and stuff like that. You know, you can track your whole flight in 3D, which is really cool. Yeah, they've got like so many amazing features. I feel like I don't even know half of this. So, you know, if I had to choose one thing or two things that I would take on a flight with me and not need anything else, it would be this and my headset, right? So that goes in here. Now, there's another thing, and this is, you know, won't really relate to, you know, once I get my license and I'm actually flying, but, you know, as a student pilot, you have to do certain things the old-fashioned way as well. You have your nav log that you need for like cross-country flights. So obviously that's like a little bit hard to have on the iPad because it's got to be a paper one and you've got to prepare a paper one for your checkride as well. So I got this, this knee board. It's really cool. So this is like an F-16 fighter pilot knee board, which is super cool. It's kind of weird like having it in your little Cessna, but it just kind of goes around your leg like that, and it's got the iPad over here. But also what it does is you can flip it up and this kind of rests on you over here, and you've got your clipboard here, right? There's just some notes. So this is my nav log over here, so I can just like flip back and forth, like leave this open, obviously, you know, to see the traffic and stuff like that when I'm flying. But then I can flip it open to see my nav log and see if I'm on track and like track my time and stuff like that. It's super old school. I don't think I'll ever be doing this in real life, but it's something that's required for my student flight training. So for now, it's really cool. But I mean, you can take off this clipboard and you don't really, you know, need to have it on there. I do have a pen, obviously. So the thing is with my pens, a lot of times I had like pens stop working in the plane, and it's really annoying and frustrating when you have to take a note and it just causes panic for no reason. I think it's called a Fisher Space Pen. It's designed by NASA so that it can write in space. It can write in space, it can write underwater, you know, it can write in like no gravity situation, upside down, whatever the case may be. It's not the best writing pen, but I know that if I have this with me, it's always gonna work. So, and it's really small and compact and fits here, and I haven't lost it yet. So another thing I have in here is an extra battery for my GoPro. Because the thing is, you don't want to be fumbling around, you know, battery just gonna last you like an hour probably. So if you have a bit of a longer flight, just like pop it out, pop the battery in, and you're off. The thing I have here is my medical and my pilot's license, right? And I have a pencil, speaking of pencils. So this has been really cool. Sometimes in some of the planes, I will say that like, this knee board kind of gets a bit high, so you know, if you have a strong crosswind and you're landing, you can kind of clip it a little bit on the edge here. So what I usually do is like I'll just flip that up and it'll clear the clipboard when I'm landing. Or I'll just completely like remove it and throw it away, because you don't need it while you're landing, right? You just need to focus on landing the airplane, and then you can pull it back up when you need to taxi and stuff. Next up, the headset. So this took me so long to figure out which headset I'm gonna get. And my instructor was really nice enough to lend me his, which was a bit of an older version of this one. I think this is the David Clark H30. Very basic headset. It's like 300 bucks. I was contemplating, obviously, you know, if you've done any search online, you know, taken 5 minutes to look at headsets, like you would have seen the Bose A20s, which are the best headset right now, it seems. But you know, it's almost $1,000. I think it actually is over $1,000. You know, it's not something I was prepared to spend. And at the beginning of my training, I do see why people get those, and I will get them as maybe like a little present from me to me when I've passed my check ride. But you know, these have been okay. I've noticed a few times I've missed a few radio calls. Sometimes it's easy to miss radio calls, especially, you know, if you're early in your training and you're not used to hearing, you know, picking up the subtle details. So, you know, if, you know, you will eventually get a noise cancellation headset. So if you have the money to get it, just get it straight away, I'd say. This is perfectly fine. It's done a perfectly fine job. It works, and it's gonna, you know, be my second headset for passengers later, so that's cool. One custom thing you may have noticed is there's a little tape here, and the reason for that is for my night flights I have this flashlight here, and there's a red light on it. And what the red light does is it allows you to see but doesn't destroy your night vision. A bit of tape over here, and then I just slot the clip like so, switch that on, and now I have my night lights. Yeah, so just like a little hack that, you know, you don't have to wear a whole other like head strap for it or whatever. So it takes up less space. So I just use one flashlight for everything. You'll also use this flashlight when I'm pre-flighting. Like the other day at our flight school, they found a dead bird inside the engine. Super common for animals to get in there, and you know, can cause you a lot of trouble. This light just helps you see inside the engine, make sure there's no birds or animals or whatever in there. So this goes in here, and that's kind of just to protect the headset from getting scratched up and, you know, in the bag with all the other stuff in there. But it also allows me to kind of like pull it out and set it down like on the seat next to me, so I have like a little you know, place where I've got some stuff in there. This is called an in-flight cable, so it connects into your headset like so. It goes into an audio jack, which I have my iPhone converter on. So then I'll plug my phone in here and record it as like a voice memo, and it'll record all audio inside the cockpit. So ATC, speaking to the instructor, everything I hear in my ear will be recorded on the phone. And then I just merge that footage later. This, I think I paid, there's some for like, I don't understand this, but there's some for like $100, like connect to your GoPro. This was like 10 bucks. I don't know exactly where I found it, but it's like the best 10 bucks that I've ever spent. This is where you will kind of catch most of the mistakes that you were making by listening back to the audio, especially if you're learning to speak to ATC and stuff like that. Super helpful. Water bottle. So I have this water bottle. I found this online on some other YouTuber's video. It's really cool because it like rolls up and folds up really tight, so it can fit in my bag, but then I can fill it up with water, and it holds like quite a lot of water. And the nice thing is it kind of just sticks, so you can just throw it on the dash or on the side seat or whatever, and it's there. And it's also super easy to just like pop it open with one hand and just squeeze it and drink water while you're busy flying. So I don't know, small detail, but I found this is really cool, and it kind of just folds up like that, stays out of the way. Notebook, don't really use this much, but you know, sometimes you got to take notes about things. If you're planning a flight, or you got to remember something, or some feedback the instructor's given you, super useful. I have got head strap for the GoPro. It's really cool because it allows you to like see what your eyes see, especially with the wide angle. You can see everything around you, and it feels like you're there in your flight. So it's like if you combine this with the audio recording and like watch it back on a big screen, it's like having like a free lesson over again. So it's really cool. You kind of look dumb wearing it, but you know, I found this super useful, and the footage looks really cool, and like it looks like a lot of fun, like when you're walking around the plane doing pre-flight and stuff. It looks super cool. Extra battery. This is for, you know, in case my phone dies, in case my iPad dies. Usually I'm okay if I come in with 100% battery, but if I come in for whatever reason I forgot to charge my iPad and it's like at 50%, like mid-flight that battery's dead. It's insane how quickly it goes because you're using the GPS and like everything's still open, full brightness. So this battery is just there as backup so that I can charge everything I need. And I have a little cable that goes with it. I have a little knife. I have no idea why or what I would use this for. That's actually a pen I stole from the FBO, not intentionally. I'm gonna return this. Extra pencil and a third battery. I've actually never needed a third battery. 2 batteries is more than enough for the GoPro. And my sunglasses, so these are non-polarized, and the whole thing is, you don't want polarized sunglasses, even though they allow you to like see better outside. You cannot see some of the glass panels because of the polarization. So non-polarized. Surprisingly, I've used this very little. With like having your cap and you have the little shield that you flip down on the airplane, you really don't need sunglasses. I guess when you're like up flying in the clouds and everything's white and reflecting back at you, you really need them. But I really like rarely use these, interestingly enough, because you think like as a pilot, sunglasses would be the first thing you need. But yeah, maybe that's just me. I'm fine with just having a cap on. Paper charts. It's cool. I have these on the iPad. This is just as like a backup, and also because we're required to have this and to kind of show on our checkride that we can use it. And I also have an E6B flight computer. This is like ForeFlight, the board game. You can do everything that you can on ForeFlight, obviously much harder, and you're prone to making mistakes on this, whereas ForeFlight just does all your calculations perfectly. But this is really cool to use. This is a lot of fun to learn how to use, and it's amazing that it can do all these crazy conversions and measurements just in this like one thing. Okay, so have a checklist. So this took me forever to figure out. There's so many different checklists, so many different ways of doing this. Every instructor has their own opinion about the order of things and how to do things. And there's a few like known brands that do like a really good job for some planes. I don't really find one that's configured in the way I want it to be. And this may be like a little bit obsessive, I do realize that, but I made my own checklist. So printed this on hard card at FedEx. Stuck it together, put a bit of tape around, and it's really solid and works really well. So yeah, I based this off of the checklist that we have in our planes, but I added a few things like remembering to set up the GoPro and stuff like that, stuff you wouldn't find generally on the checklist. And I condensed it to like ground and air, and then I have like the other one for emergency procedures and stuff like that in the pre-flight. But these are the most important ones and the ones I use. The nice thing is like I put all my V speeds over here. So it's easy reference, and some like notes over here. So how to calculate the descent distance, aborted takeoffs, crosswind component, and getting like V speeds for like a 4-degree glide. So just stuff that you can reference. I assume I'm gonna be evolving this as I go along. It only costs like $2 to print at FedEx. So yeah, nice, neat, clean. I like it. Next thing I have here is my logbook. You can have these done digitally. I just kind of like having a physical logbook. Don't lose this. Have a backup of everything as well. So one thing that's not in here and that I have on order right now is my ForeFlight Sentry. So this is gonna help me see traffic and get weather and stuff when I'm up in the air. These are like really expensive. This is the cheapest one that they have. It's $299, but it's a must. I wouldn't recommend flying without this. There's so many times that we've seen, and I've obviously used my instructor's one because he always has it up there, so I connect to it. So many times we've seen traffic like coming towards us and we had to divert, and even though we had flight following, the ATC never let us know. So I wouldn't fly without this, and the reason I've only ordered it now because obviously it was like a little bit expensive, and I've been using my instructors till now, but now that I'm doing these solo cross-country flights, I need to have my own. So that's another thing to like take from this, is you don't need to buy all of this at the beginning. Like just get yourself a headset and an iPad, and then like figure out everything else later, because most of the things are either in the plane or your instructor can help you out with in the beginning. So don't focus on like buying too many things, but definitely iPad, you 100% need it. You need to get on ForeFlight as soon as possible. I don't know how like all flight schools work, but we used ForeFlight from day one. And you obviously you need your headset. Sometimes not even like the instructor can lend you his or whatever the case may be. My instructor lent me his for like a few weeks before I like figured out what I wanted to get. So yeah, definitely don't rush into this. It's a process, still a process for me. I haven't gotten everything that I wanted yet, but yeah.